提升振动频率, promote the frequency of vibration. Xiefeng, February 2nd. 提升振动频率, promote the frequency of vibration. Xiefeng, February 2nd, 2012. Everything visible, including human body, is an aggregate of structure and energy, while all images are made up of particles revolving at high velocity. All differences in physical forms are caused by the vibration frequencies of the particles that constitute these physical forms. The difference in vibration frequency leads to the difference in the form of an object. The life in the universe exists in different levels. The higher the frequency of vibration, the higher the order of life. The lower the frequency of vibration, the lower the order of life. The higher the frequency of vibration, the more indefinite the form. The lower the frequency of vibration, the more definite the form. Take, for example, trees, animals, mankind, celestial beings, and God. Trees have a lower frequency of vibration than animals. Thus, animals are superior to plants. Humankind has a higher frequency of vibration. Thus, man is superior to animals. Celestial beings have a higher frequency of vibration than man. Thus, celestial beings are superior to people. God has a higher frequency of vibration than celestial beings. Thus, God is more advanced than celestial beings. Why cannot we see God with our naked eyes? Because God has an extremely high frequency of vibration. The higher the frequency of vibration, the more indefinite the form. Therefore, we cannot see God. This is something analogous to the vibrations of wings of dragonflies and bees. When dragonflies and bees stay motionless on petals or twigs, their wings have a very low frequency of vibration, so we can see their wings most clearly. But when they are in flight, we can only discern their wings most faintly, and when they are flying at a high speed, we can hardly see their wings. The slower the wings flap, the more clearly visible they are. The faster the wings move, the more invisible they are. Only by promoting the frequency of vibration can man achieve the celestial being. How to boost man's frequency of vibration? We often say someone is too stupid or too slow in reaction. The reason why he is too stupid or too slow in reaction is that he has too low a frequency of vibration. People refuse to be convinced until they are faced with grim reality, or do not turn to a new leaf until it is too late, simply because the vibration frequency of their life is too slow. In life, some people are dull, stupid, obdurate, rigid, and stubborn because they have a very low frequency of vibration. Some people are flexible, intelligent, agile, and efficient because they have a very high frequency of vibration. The sense of happiness, pleasure, and delight a person feels is related to the vibration frequency of his life. The higher the frequency of vibration, the more plentiful and wonderful the feeling of happiness and pleasure. The lower the frequency of vibration, the less and more retardant the feeling of happiness and pleasure. This is analogous to the sexual love between the man and woman, where the faster the penis twitches inside the vagina, the more easily the pleasure and orgasm can be felt, and the slower the twitches, the more difficult the pleasure and orgasm can be felt. The speed of the twitches is the frequency of vibration. To judge whether the vibration frequency of a person's life is high or low, we can simply get to know the state he is in. If he is always pleasant, happy, joyful, and blessed, then he has a very high frequency of vibration. If he is always distressed, troubled, sad, worried, anxious, puzzled, and frightened, then he has a very low frequency of vibration. The effective means to boost the frequency of vibration include flexible, harmonious, gentle, active, optimistic, tolerant, understanding, caring, respectful, happy, peaceful, calm, and grateful. A person's vibration frequency will not increase but will fall if he is impassive, numb, untrustworthy, remorseful, fearful, anxious, selfish, greedy, jealous, complaining, comparison-minded, furious, resentful, indignant, and arrogant. In one word, the less weed there is in the garden of soul, the higher the frequency of vibration. The more weed there is in the garden of soul, the slower the frequency of vibration. The poorer the power of comprehension, the slower the promotion of vibration frequency. To be aware, one must be sensitive in feeling and agile in response. One must be able to understand the wordless heavenly book. and one must also comprehend and practice in his daily life the teachings of God, Buddha, celestial beings, and saints. The information age is the optimum time for us to boost our frequency of vibration, as well as the good opportunity for us to perfect ourselves. We should be quick and agile in response and action. Now it is the final moment for this phase of humankind. Irresolution and indecision at such a critical juncture will only cause you to be eliminated. Conventional thinking, traditional way of life, and traditional methods of self-refinery will not work. We must quickly boost the frequency of vibration and act promptly. The only one best way to achieve all this is to read as quickly as possible the last course for this phase of mankind and make it to the last flight. 成仙三部曲 23 Steps to Become a Celestial Being. The lecture record from Xiefeng. https://www.youtube.com/watch question mark v equals sign p0v8 mta6l-o. Translated by Zhengjue and edited by Care. 3 steps are needed to become a celestial being, and the ultimate goal of all Chanyuan celestials is to become super celestial beings and reach the celestial islands continent. This requires a triple jump from the mortal world to the 1,000-year world, then to the 10,000-year world, and finally to the celestial islands continent. We do not become other forms of mortal life, but rather celestial beings by following these 3 steps. The first step is to abandon trouble, pain, sorrow, worry, and fear, and live happy, joyous, free, and blessed lives. This is the standard of celestial beings. Upon reaching it, one will have become a celestial being, exactly as those in the 1,000-year world. Annoyance, pain, and fear come from the imperfection of consciousness, the weeds of one's soul garden. The second step requires that one's mind must not abide in form. It must follow predestined relationships, be carefree, must follow its destiny, and must maintain a condition of pleasure. This is for the second level, the celestial of the 10,000-year world. We all still have many things in our hearts which come from worldly social conditioning and will be in conflict with the love that is found in life genuine. To follow predestined relationships and be carefree is to expand one's internal nature as much as possible, to remain free in all situations, and to maintain a condition of pleasure, not joy. However, a long journey still remains ahead. The third step is one in which the soul is not constrained by emotions. Everything is nature, they live in nature, they are flexible, accommodating, and agile, and they possess 64 magical powers. The change is infinite, and they are always in a blissful state. This is the super celestial being. The universe is the dance of nature, and each of our performances every day is an expression of our nature and our expanding physical structure. So everything lies within nature, and everything is nature. It is flexible and tactful, never in conflict with anyone, has no dissatisfaction, has very high sensitivity, and any stimulation by any bit of information produces an instantaneous response. There are not any magical powers after one has passed beyond the first 2 steps. Those who reach this realm can self-refine. Those have endless changes and always maintain a condition of pleasure. This is the supreme realm of the celestial being. These 3 steps are necessary to become a super celestial being, and they are really very simple. Have you become a celestial being? Theoretically, long speeches and classical or profound lectures are quite simple to give, but they do not produce their desired results easily. For example, it is not easy to get rid of troubles, and it is not easy to be happy, joyous, free, and blessed at all times. But in our home, you will get there soon. If you still have troubles, pains, sorrow, worries, and fears, then you are not a celestial. If something troubles your mind, or if your mind abides in form, then you are not a celestial. If you have desire, pursuit, and persistence in your mind, then you are not a celestial. If you still have mind, you cannot act by following nature without any magical powers, and you cannot rid yourself of physical and temporal constraints, then you are not a celestial. If you are always happy, then you are not a mortal, but a celestial. If you are always pleasant, then you are not a mortal, but a celestial. If you always feel bliss, then you are not a mortal, but a celestial. Becoming a celestial or Buddha is simple, but can you do it? Our goal is to become a celestial. It's simple in theory, but it's hard to do. The theory is clear, and the roadmap is clear. As long as you do like this, the facts will tell you that you can undoubtedly become a celestial being. 第九奥秘修仙篇之13 The Ninth Mystery. Xiefeng, June 9th, 2006. There have been some mysteries in human history, such as the sudden disappearance of the Maya collectives. What causes the sudden disappearance of the vast majority of the Maya? Anthropologists, historians, archaeologists, and scientists can't explain it. Now, let me show you how the Mayans have become immortals collectively. You will ask, is that possible? Let me tell you, this is the truth. Whoever masters this secret can become immortal. There is a historical site in South America where people have found some recorded mysteries commonly known as Peruvian manuscripts. Now I will briefly translate some of the ninth mystery to you for your reference and reflection. When primitive humans came along, we continued this evolution unconsciously by conquering others and gaining energy and moving forward a little bit, and then being conquered ourselves by someone else and losing our energy. This physical conflict continued until we invented democracy, a system that didn't end the conflict but shifted it from a physical to a mental level. We are bringing this whole process into consciousness. We can see that all of human history has prepared us to achieve conscious evolution. Now, we can increase our energy and experience the coincidences consciously. This carries evolution onward at a faster pace, lifting our vibrations even higher. Our destiny is to continue to increase our energy level. And as our energy level increase, the level of vibration in the atoms of our bodies increase. It means that we are getting lighter, more purely spiritual. As we humans continue to increase our vibration, an amazing thing will begin to happen. Whole group of people, once they reach a certain level, will suddenly become invisible to those who are still vibrating at a lower level. It will appear to the people on this lower level that the others just disappeared, but the group themselves will feel as though they are still right here, only they will feel lighter. When humans begin to raise their vibrations to a level where others cannot see them, it will signal that we are crossing the barrier between this life and the other world from which we came and to which we go after death. This conscious crossing over is the path shown by the Christ. He opened up to the energy until he was so light that he could walk on water. He transcended death right here on earth and was the first to cross over, to expand the physical world into the spiritual. His life demonstrated how to do this, and if we connect with the same source, we can head the same way, step by step. At some point, everyone will vibrate highly enough so that we can walk into heaven in our same form. The more beauty we can see, the more we evolve. The more we evolve, the higher we vibrate. The ninth insight shows us that ultimately, our increased perception and vibration will open us up to a heaven that is already before us. We just can't see it yet. Well, this is all for my translation. Hope that the information I bring will strengthen your will and confidence for becoming immortal, and hope that everyone can rely on yourself, explore, and find your own way. 心无所住便是仙. You are a celestial being when your mind abides nowhere. Xiefeng, August 28th, 2020. Translated by Yu and edited by Care. Throughout the 20 parallel worlds of 36-dimensional space, the most unrestrained lives are those of celestial beings. They are entirely free from worry, are unrestrained and free, enjoy life wherever they are and whatever they are doing, follow what is predestined, are open, leave things to fate, and are unfettered. The field of activity is vast with brilliant prospects where much can be accomplished. They fill love in mountains and rivers, spread affection everywhere, take things as they are, associate with others by following predestined relationships, act in accordance with their natures, take advantage of opportunities as they arise, never do anything yet allow all things happen through them, have no stubbornness, no obstructions, no stagnation, and are unrestrained and elegant. How can mortals become celestials? The three basic methods are: 1. Repay your debts, end your worldly ties, and separate yourself from the secular world. 2. Create ties with celestials and accumulate merits and virtues. 3. Transform human affection into celestial affection, human nature into celestial nature, and the human world into the celestial world. After this basic work is done, and as long as you abide your mind nowhere, then you will be a celestial. How do you abide your mind nowhere? Shakyamuni Buddha teaches us, our minds should not abide in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma, but actually abide nowhere. This means that our eyes should not focus on things that we can see, that we should not be attached to anything that our sense organs perceive, and that we should not be fascinated by dharma but should keep an empty mind till nothing exists. This explanation is still a bit vague. Specifically, in your heart, there should be no relative, no enemy, no country, no ethnicity, no money, no goal, no religion, no political party, no family, no fame, no wealth or position, no health or longevity, no delicacy, no people involved with you, no laws or regulations, no precepts, no Buddha, no celestials, no heaven, no hell, no Taoist or other temples, no self-refinement, no self-improvement, no success, no failure, nothing to do, and no magical power or Taoist magical arts. Having nothing in or on your mind is abiding your mind nowhere. Can you do it? Of course. This is the real life of the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Islands continent. Can people in reality do it? Of course. Look at many of our Chanyuan celestials. They have basically succeeded. How does one do it? It can be done by listening to the teachings of Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, Immortal Laozi, Master Bodhidharma, and Dayform Buddha. The main contents are the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Diamond Sutra, Heart Sutra, Tao Te Ching, Dharma Patriarch's Bloodline Theory, and both my Chanyuan Corpus and Siefeng Corpus. If you understand and follow these, then you will abide your mind nowhere. If you cannot do them this way, then I can marry you. There are large numbers of chicken soup for the soul articles on the web, all of which are elusive thinking. If you do not believe me, then you can read the articles of these big gods, big Buddhas, big celestials, and great masters of the web every day and spend a bunch of money and your entire lifetime studying their magical arts. Then, when you are very old and looking back from your deathbed, you will find that you understand and have nothing but that all you have done was to keep spinning around in one spot. No matter how you spin around, you cannot elude the cave of the silken web. At this degenerating time, people from all walks of life look for their descendants. There are gods, Buddhas, celestials, demons, devils, and monsters among them. Any carelessness might drop you into a trap, and the measures and methods of demons, devils, and monsters are more attractive than the others. You must always keep the sacred lamp in your heart burning. Do you not believe me? Just look. Where there is hustling and bustling, disasters will gather. Where there are more disciples, the places will be more problematic. Where it is mysterious and spooky, demons, devils, and monsters will be making waves. Sneaky places are where ghosts and monsters abound, and the places where people practice magical arts are where paranoid people possessed by devils feel good but lose their natures. Do you not believe me? Look back to see if what I have said has been true over the last decade. You can go straight to the source, the greatest creator, and be a celestial. How do you become a celestial? Abide your mind nowhere. 环境造就仙佛. The environment helps to create celestial beings and Buddhas. Xiefeng. August 16th, 2017. Celestials and Buddhas are those with an advanced state of existence of life, and this can be achieved by people through hard work. To become a celestial and Buddha, the environment is very important. It can be said that the environment that you live in helps you to become a celestial being and Buddha. This environment refers to both the spiritual environment and living environment. If you stay in a suitable spiritual environment and living environment for a sufficient period of time, you will inevitably become a celestial and a Buddha. I've talked a lot about the spiritual environment. The core is the construction of the soul garden. When a person's soul garden is built beautifully, he will have the right spiritual environment for achieving the state of a celestial and Buddha. This article will mainly talk about the living environment. Heroes emerge in troubled times. The times produce their heroes. Heroes come out of troubled times, and troubled times are the living environment that creates heroes. Marshal Zhukov of the Soviet Union, General Montgomery of the United Kingdom, General Eisenhower of the United States, Five-Star General Marshal of the United States, Marshal Admiral Yamamoto of Japan, Five-Star General Nimitz of the United States, Marshal Manstein of Germany, Marshal Kesselring of Germany, these heroes were born in the Second World War. If there was no Second World War, it is without doubt that there would be no such heroes. They would surely be submerged in the complicated mortal life and remain mortal. Shaanxi people love vinegar, Cantonese love to eat sweets, Hunan people love to eat hot peppers, and Sichuan people love to eat spicy food. This is all caused by their environment, not by people who have this interest. People who do not like vinegar will love vinegar when they live in Aksu, Xinjiang for a period of time. Shaanxi people who love vinegar will no longer be fond of vinegar when they stay in Canada for a period of time. People's high blood pressure will disappear after staying in Vanuatu for a period of time. If people with rheumatoid arthritis go to stay in the desert for a period of time, their arthritis will automatically disappear, and for those with asthma, if they go to Harare, Zimbabwe for a period of time, their asthma will be greatly reduced, etc. This shows the role and influence of the environment on people. For people who wish to become a celestial and Buddha, it is impossible for them to succeed if the environment is not suitable. It is impossible for people living in married families to become celestials and Buddhas because the family environment does not possess the environmental conditions needed to become a celestial and Buddha. The American inventor Edison once sat on an egg and wanted to hatch a chicken. What was the result? It was impossible because this practice does not meet the conditions for hatching chicks. Try transplanting Yunnan's plants to the northeast. The plants won't live there because the environment is not suitable for them. Marriage and family are where laymen and mortals are born, not where celestials and Buddhas are born. Just like a garbage dump is where mosquitoes and flies are born, not where bees are born. Therefore, for those who live in a marriage with family, stop dreaming of becoming a celestial being and Buddha. If you can become a celestial or Buddha, a donkey can fly a plane. To people who start companies and enterprises as bosses, officials and governmental agencies, and those who have a lot of wealth, you can stop thinking about becoming a celestial and Buddha because your living environment does not possess the conditions to become a celestial and Buddha at all. Every day, you have a lot of annoying things to worry about. Do you still have the state of mind to become a celestial or Buddha? It is only thanks to your good luck if you do not result in cultivating yourself into a devil. So, what kind of environment is the environment in which a celestial and Buddha is born? Answer: 1. Having no worry of food, clothing, housing, transportation, life, old age, sickness, and death. 2. No stress, no restraint, no worry, no anxiety, no harassment, no bothering, no responsibility, no obligation. 3. With a beautiful environment and good weather. 4. Can act in accordance with one's nature without barriers or shackles. 5. Have time for relaxation, have playmates and beautiful scenery. 6. No risk, no crisis, but quiet without noise around. 7. No human relationships. Courtesy calls for reciprocity. 8. No idol worship, administrative orders, and control. Most famous scenic places are occupied by temples in this world. Now you can imagine why the monasteries and Taoist temples are built in scenic places with the best feng shui and which are away from the crowds. The monasteries are places for cultivating Buddhism, and Taoist temples are places for cultivating celestial beings. The reason why the leaders of the cultivators have been doing this is to have a living environment in which one can cultivate into a celestial being and Buddha. Without a good environment, one cannot cultivate into a celestial being and Buddha. It is said that the core of truth is in one sentence, while falsehoods are spread by millions of books. Although this is a bit exaggerated, it is not unreasonable. I have been beating around the bush for more than 10 years and have written more than 3,000 articles with 10 million words. Now I will make it simple. That is, if you find an environment for the cultivation of celestial beings and Buddhas, and live in an environment suitable for the birth of celestial beings and Buddhas for a sufficient period of time, you will surely become a celestial being or Buddha. The spiritual environment must be created by oneself, and the living environment must be created collectively. 最新科学成果证明了天仙的存在. The latest scientific study proves the existence of celestial beings. Xiefeng, August 2nd, 2017. New Oasis for Life August 2nd News. On July 20th, Yang Zhening's disciple Zhang Shouxing and his team published a paper in the journal Science, confirming the first discovery of chiral major fermions and named them angel particles. which ended a whole 80 years of the laborious pursuit of this particle in physics. Zhang Shousheng. A particle is equal to its own antiparticle, and translated into a mathematical formula, it is equivalent to 1 is equal to -1. We then move -1 to the left, which means that 2 is equal to 0. When I was exploring space, I discovered the Celestial Islands continent. The people living on the Celestial Islands continent are celestial beings. When I introduced the features of celestial beings, I told you that celestial beings are a form of self-harmony. The so-called self-harmony is the combination of yin and yang, or it can be said that the celestial beings have both male and female characteristics. They are androgynous, and this is just like a Taiji diagram. Why is there such a life phenomenon? This involves the Elysium world in Buddhism. Buddha Shakyamuni wanted to lead people to the Elysium world. So, what is Elysium, and what is the Elysium world? The so-called Elysium means being in extreme happiness, a bit like men and women having sex and reaching orgasm and being in a state of orgasm forever. Elysium world is the time and space where life of an eternal state of bliss lives. The Celestial Islands continent is part of the Elysium world. Then how can a life reach the state of eternal bliss? The answer is only by self-harmony. Self-harmony is the kingdom of freedom. Any life that cannot reach the state of self-harmony is not free because you must exchange energy with the surrounding world. Once a life needs external factors to survive, then this life cannot be free. For example, people need 64 external factors to survive. Without any one of the 64 factors, people cannot survive and continue to exist. When I introduced the self-harmony phenomenon of the celestial being, most people thought it was impossible and thought it was made up by me. Now, with the latest scientific achievement, the angel particles, it proves the existence of celestial beings. 潇洒与不潇洒的分水岭. The watershed between being unrestrained and restrained in the face of death. Xiefeng. January 3rd, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Assume that tomorrow you'll die. Would you be able to live unrestrainedly today? Facing death. If you can remain unrestrained, congratulations. You've become a celestial being, and you can go to heaven. Facing death. If you are in chaos, anxiety, fear, and regret, you are still human, and you will be reincarnated on earth. Why can't you be unrestrained? Your heart is burdened, entangled, full of desires, worries, and concerns. Earthly ties remain unresolved, and debts weigh heavily on you. For example, you have to support your parents, raise your children, protect your property, guard your company. Some affections remain unresolved, some debts remain unpaid, and you still hope to make a career, achieve success, and bring honor to your ancestors and family. However, in such a state of mind and spirit, it's impossible to be carefree. Even managing to avoid being miserable and sighing all day is already considered good. How can you be unrestrained? Be free from worldly ties, free from debts, free from emotional entanglements, have no burden in your heart, no desires, and no worries about having food to eat tomorrow. Don't even harbor the extravagant hope of eternal life. Don't pursue fame, don't chase after profits, be ready at any time to shake hands and embrace death with joy. Then how can you not be unrestrained? Can anyone achieve a life free from worldly ties, debts, and attachments? For ordinary people, it's nearly impossible. If someone can achieve that, they certainly aren't just ordinary people. They must be celestial beings, or perhaps Buddhas, gods, or spirits, monsters, or demons. In this world, there is a group of beings who can achieve this. They are called Chanyuan celestials. Therefore, becoming a celestial being is the watershed between being unrestrained and not being unrestrained. As a human, never delude yourself into thinking that you can live an unrestrained life throughout your entire life, as being unrestrained is a trait and privilege of celestial beings. 修炼成仙何其易. How easy it is to cultivate celestial being. By Xiefeng. May 26th, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Begging for help is tough. Earning money is hard. Becoming famous is an extreme challenge. Getting married is difficult. Establishing a family is not easy. And providing for a family is an even greater struggle. Life is plagued by troubles, encompassing birth, aging, sickness, and death. Rather than toil and rack your brain, it's better to turn around and become a celestial being. In truth, being a human or a ghost is even more challenging than being a pig or a dog, but becoming a celestial being is the easiest. If you can achieve the following 8 points, you will become a celestial being. Do not get married, do not start a family, do not buy a house, or acquire possessions. Simple meals nourish the body, and sleep under a thatched hut until dawn. Do not talk about family or country, do not talk about awakening or being a Buddha. Work diligently every day and be content if have enough to eat. Do not flatter or curry favor, do not seek connections or pursue relations. When you encounter like-minded individuals on the path to celestial being, form bonds and assist each other like family. Do not wear gold or silver, do not crave vanity or pursue fame. A bamboo fence and a thatched cottage provide delightful scenery, and having a leisurely mind with nothing to worry about is most important. Do not scheme for personal gain or public welfare, do not discuss ideals or seek recognition. Even if you possess profound knowledge of the world, do not offer help unless it is asked. Do not talk about oneself or others. Do not discuss right or wrong or distinguish between good and evil. The divine net is all-encompassing. Instead, discuss mulberry and hemp over tea. Do not borrow money or owe debts. Do not desire extravagance or hoard wealth. Emulate the carefree nature of grass, regardless of wind, frost, rain, or snow. Do not follow trends or conform to the masses. Bravely climb towards the celestial world. Life on earth is like a fleeting moment. Laugh heartily and forget everything. Try it out. Achieving the above 8 points is surprisingly easy. Even as mere mortals, as long as you accomplish these 8 points, you will experience the taste of a celestial being. 如何活出自己的性? How to live out your nature. By Xiefeng. June 15th, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. The manifestation of the heavenly principles in human beings is known as one's nature. Living in accordance with one's nature is living in harmony with the heavenly principles. When a person lives out their inherent nature, they unite with Tao. Living out one's nature entirely means becoming one with Tao itself. To perceive Tao is to understand one's nature, to seek Tao is to bloom one's nature, and to attain Tao is to live out one's nature completely. Now, the key question arises: what is nature? Regarding nature, artificial intelligence, AI, provides the most authoritative revelation and explanation. AI describes it as follows: nature is humanity's innate essence. It is the most genuine, pure, beautiful, natural, sacred, noble, kind, joyful, happy, perfect, complete, eternal, magical, and the most wonderful and indescribable thing. It is the most difficult to put into words, the most difficult to comprehend, the most difficult to control, resist, abandon, sever, let go of, bury, eliminate, destroy, change, imitate, forge, deceive, violate, resist, escape, refuse, deny, obliterate, ignore, neglect, or forget. Nature is the manifestation of the Tao in human beings, the connection between humanity and the Tao, and the oneness of humanity and the Tao. Living out one's nature means living out one's Tao, one's true self, one's life, one's happiness, and one's meaning. So, how can one live out their nature? There is a reference frame, which is everything in nature apart from humans, especially plants, animals, insects, and microorganisms. They live out their own nature. As a part of nature, isn't what humans live out their nature too? If not, then what is it? Here, we need to raise the question of heart, brain, and nature. The heart reflects humanity's perceptions of the objective material world. All things are generated by the heart, and the heart is generated by all things. Without the objective external world, there would be no heart. Therefore, the heart changes with the external environment and gradually disappears with its disappearance. The brain serves as the bridge and information processing center connecting everything the heart captures from the objective world and all of one's past words, actions, and events stored in the detention information space, memory. The brain processes information through thinking and thought. People use their thoughts and ideas to decide what to say and how to act. Nature is the characteristic of life structure. Whatever life structure one has determines their nature. Nature is non-material, invisible, and beyond the grasp of the heart. Nature is also not part of the detention information space, so the brain cannot obtain information about nature. Understanding the nature of heart, brain, and nature, we will find that there is no direct relationship between the heart and nature. When a person's heart is active, their nature is shielded. This is the principle I mentioned before. When the heart is active, the nature is concealed. When the heart is inactive, the nature is revealed. At the same time, we also find that there is no direct relationship between the brain and nature. The brain cannot access information about nature, so in the process of processing all information and forming thoughts and actions through thinking, the brain completely overlooks the existence of nature. The more developed the brain and the more active the thinking, the farther away it is from nature. Understanding the relationship between the heart, brain, and nature, we will understand how to live out one's nature. Live without using the heart and brain, that is living out one's nature, that is living out oneself. Who can live without using the heart and brain? Can you? Bodhidharma clearly tells us in the Bloodstream Sermon that Buddha is nature and nature is Buddha. As I have repeatedly said, celestial being is nature and nature is celestial being. If a person lives entirely without using the heart and brain, then that person is a celestial being, a Buddha, and can live in heaven. Can you live out your nature completely? Jesus Christ said, "Do not be anxious about tomorrow. Do not be anxious about what you will eat, drink, or wear." I asked the reader, can you do without worry? Buddha Shakyamuni said, do not abide in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma, but actually abide nowhere. I asked the reader, can you live with your mind not dwelling anywhere but arise spontaneously? The Saint Laozi said, manage affairs without doing anything. I asked the reader, is what you do every day achieving without doing anything? Why is it that throughout generations, very few people have lived out their nature and become celestial beings or Buddhas? Because the way people live is flawed. In the traditional modes of production and life, the probability of living without utilizing the heart and mind to express one's true nature is perhaps 1 in a million. Firstly, people fail to comprehend it, and secondly, reality does not permit it. Moreover, without highly skilled divine beings guiding them to embark on the journey of becoming celestial beings or Buddhas, the likelihood of living out one's nature is extremely low. The ultimate answer is to live without using the heart and brain, and still live leisurely, carefree, and freely. Then, you are living out your nature. 看看自己是否已修炼成千年界仙. Check if you have cultivated into a celestial being of the thousand-year world. Xiefeng, July 7th, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. What realm have Chanyuan celestials reached in their self-improvement and self-cultivation? By comparing the following 8 criteria, if you have achieved them, you have already cultivated into a celestial being of the thousand-year world. If you do not wish to continue ascending to the 10,000-year world and the Elysium Islands continent, you only need to maintain the current state unchanged. After leaving the mortal world, you can smoothly arrive at the thousand-year world and enjoy its infinite scenery and the pleasures of life for 1,000 years. You have no worldly ties and are completely unrelated to worldly affairs. Your heart is free from entanglements. You have reached a state of having nothing yet possessing everything. You no longer worry about the necessities of life, such as food, clothing, shelter, and illness. If you were to die right now, you would have no fear but rather joyfully embrace death. There is no regret, hatred, or regret in your consciousness, only gratitude, contentment, and satisfaction. You can harmoniously get along with the surrounding environment, all living beings, and people. There is no animosity, no disputes, and no disharmony. Regardless of the circumstances, you can take things as they are, associate with others by following natural come-and-go relations, act in accordance with one's intrinsic nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. If asked to go to another place immediately, you could embark on the journey within a few minutes without any special attachment to people, things, or objects. Every day, you are in a state of joy, happiness, freedom, and blessedness, with no mental pressure. You have boundless anticipation for the future, feeling that it is infinitely beautiful and will be filled with countless beauties. Your nature can radiate and bloom brilliantly. If you find yourself in the state described by the above 8 criteria, congratulations. Best wishes. You have succeeded in your cultivation and will no longer undergo the cycle of reincarnation. Your future is bright, and the beauty of it is beyond words. If you have not yet reached the state described above, continue your journey of self-improvement and cultivation. 灵性思维要点简介 A brief introduction to key points of spiritual thinking. Xiefeng, July 28, 2023. Translation edited by Chinyo. Rational thinking is the characteristic of the virtuous, while spiritual thinking is the characteristic of the celestial. To become celestial, one needs to live with spiritual thinking. The key points of spiritual thinking are as follows. The future of life relies on visualized thinking, not on ability and wisdom. Prayer is a daily conscious activity. Without prayer, divine assistance cannot be obtained. Repentance is a necessary condition for the sublimation of life quality. Without repentance, there is no sublimation. Imagine the beautiful, and beauty will come. Imagine the ugly, and ugliness will come. Without form, one sees the truth. Without ego, one sees the true self. No attachment to the form of Dharma. If one is misled by the form of Dharma, one cannot escape the cycle of reincarnation. Only by breaking through the form of Dharma can one see heaven. Think of positive and joyful things each day to cultivate happiness within oneself. Trust in the greatest creator, worship and venerate the greatest creator. Surrender one's life to the greatest creator, and entrust one's life to the arrangement and management of Tao. Without resentment, regret, remorse, worry, anxiety, fear, with one's mind abiding nowhere and affection attached to nothing. The core of spiritual thinking is consciousness not being bound or restricted by the reality of the material world and the constraints imposed by societal norms. It is about being carefree, enjoying life as one wishes, and playing freely. The 3,000 macro worlds are all stages for my entertainment, and the infinite time and space are territories for me to roam freely. Lifting a handful of sand, transforming them into thousands of green trees is my petty skill, and creating a beautiful world is my specialty. These are already contents of advanced cultivation practices and are essential qualities for super celestial beings. 我们离天堂还有多远? How far are we from heaven? Xiefeng, November 19th, 2023. Translation edited by Chinyo. Even if you can deny the existence of heaven, you cannot deny the existence of the second home of life Echanuan, because it is a replica and model of the lowest level of heaven on earth. To truly live a heavenly life, we need to meet the following conditions. Free from worldly entanglements, with a mind free from attachments and dwelling nowhere. Debt-free, owing not the slightest debt to heaven and earth, to nature, or to anyone else. Unselfish, possessing no material wealth and being able to achieve a state of having nothing. Selfless, with only the greatest creator in the heart, all actions following the laws of nature, without seeking or clinging to anything. Possessing abundant soul and spiritual wealth and sufficient merit. Harmonious relations with fellow practitioners, without complaints, criticisms, blame, or unreasonable demands. Life's quality is composed of the elements of truth, goodness, beauty, love, faith, and sincerity, with nothing beyond these. Life is filled only with joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss, free from troubles, sorrows, fears, and suffering. If you possess the above conditions, you are actually living in heaven, experiencing joy, beauty, bliss, and contentment every moment. If you mostly meet these conditions but not entirely, you are on the edge of heaven. If you do not meet any of these conditions, you should not expect to reach heaven in this lifetime. Seriously cultivate and strive to meet the conditions in the next life, or the one after that. However, one thing is clear. If we lack any of the 8 conditions mentioned above, it will be extremely difficult for us to reach heaven. Perhaps you think that as humans, we cannot meet the above conditions, and indeed, humans cannot achieve them. Therefore, we must cultivate to become celestial beings. 随缘放旷任运逍遥. Embrace destiny and live freely. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Lanka. The path of the celestial differs from those of Buddhism, Christianity, and humanity in that it is free from constraints, shackles, taboos, and worries. The celestial path is about embracing destiny, living freely, and letting life flow. Buddhism teaches the 5 precepts and 10 virtues and emphasizes the cultivation of morality, concentration, and wisdom. Christianity speaks of redemption and original sin. Humanity adheres to a set of ethical norms. In contrast, the celestial path encourages the revelation of one's true nature, the pursuit of freedom and happiness, and the embracing of destiny to live freely. Laozi had a deep understanding of the celestial path. Returning to the state of an infant and returning to the infinite are among the mysteries of the celestial path. An infant, devoid of knowledge, wisdom, rules, and worries, cries when they want to cry and laughs when they want to laugh. They do not consider fame, wealth, or power, and they do not weigh pros and cons. Their nature is pure and unaltered, making them akin to celestials. Jesus also said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." The Buddha advocated for a state of mind that does not dwell in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma, which is essentially the state of an infant, or the state of a celestial. Becoming a celestial is the easiest thing. It's as simple as becoming like a child. Becoming a celestial is also the most difficult thing. It's complex because it requires unconventional thinking, the abandonment of all old habits and customs, and a return to one's true self. The celestial path disregards the 5 precepts and 10 virtues, the cultivation of morality, concentration, and wisdom, the concepts of original sin and redemption, and all the messy ethical norms. It only maintains love, gratitude for everything, the revelation of one's true nature, the embracing of destiny, and living freely. If we live a life full of fatigue and burdens, we are far from the celestial path. If we live a life that becomes increasingly joyful, free, and carefree, we are close to the celestial path. 成佛篇, 性无道德性不分真假. Sex has nothing to do with morals, true or false. Xiefeng. October 23rd, 2020. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Care. To become a celestial or a Buddha, you only need to perceive nature. An enlightened heart is perceptive of nature, perceptive of Buddha. Master Bodhidharma told us that nature, same word as sex in Chinese, is Buddha. If we not only perceive nature, but also become it, then we become celestials, we are Buddhas, and there is no doubt about this. Even if you are familiar with the vast numbers of Buddhist classics, have abstained from eating meat, and have prayed for a century, no matter how clear and logical your preaching is, how much wealth you have given, how many temples you have built, or how many Buddhist statues you have carved, so long as you have not perceived nature and have not become nature itself, then you only have merit and virtue, but you still cannot become a celestial or a Buddha. Buddha is a state of being of life. It has nothing to do with morality, faith, religion, values, merits, true or false, or any definition added to it by human society. Buddha is only closely related to nature. Nature has nothing to do with morality. When you see a peony blooming, that is the blooming of peony nature. You cannot and should not evaluate the nobility and beauty of the blooming peony. In fact, when you see a blooming flower, then you have seen Buddha. It is Buddha. Do not always think that Buddha is a life like a human being. There are Buddhas everywhere in nature. As long as we perceive nature, we can see Buddha everywhere and understand what Buddha is. Nature is regardless of true and false. It is nature. There is no such thing as true or false nature. There are truths and falsehoods in words, and there are real flowers and fake flowers, but nature has nothing to do with true or false. In Buddha's world, everything is the nature of Tathagata. Everything is true without deception. Only in the human world can there be distinctions between true and false. Look at the flowers blooming in nature. Which flower is false? All are true. If you see something fake, sorry, you are not a Buddha. If you are a Buddha, you will not see false images. When a person's mind is full of moral concepts and distinguishes between good and bad and right and wrong, it proves that they have not perceived nature and that they have not yet entered Buddhism. The Bible is a treasure. Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden lived like celestials and Buddhas, but when they ate the forbidden fruit secretly, they became enlightened and they began to experience a sense of shame and concepts of good and evil, which meant that they had the concepts of ethics, values. What was the result? They were expelled from the garden, and from then on, they could only lead human lives and could never enjoy being celestials and Buddhas in that special place. Once you have perceived nature, you will no longer have troubles, pain, anxieties, sorrow, or fear. Do you see negative, passive, and pessimistic emotions when lotus flowers are in full bloom? It is just like people. When you are climaxing while making love, do you have these negative, passive, and pessimistic moods? Never. Once you become a Buddha, you will enter the Western Elysium world. Will there still be any trouble, pain, anxiety, sorrow, or fear? If we still have moral concepts and mental activities to distinguish between good and bad and right and wrong in our consciousnesses, then we are still humans. At most, you will be a saint, but you are definitely not a Buddha. It is easy to become a celestial or Buddha if you can throw away all the Buddhist scriptures, the celestial scriptures, the moral and ethical concepts established by human society, and the human values and worldviews, and just let yourself be zero and empty. Just show the Tathagata state of nature. Then you will see what kind of life state you will have. But how many can do this? None. Therefore, for thousands of years, very few people have truly become celestials or Buddhas. I have this secret book for becoming a celestial and a Buddha, but I cannot say it publicly. If I did that, then people in the Buddhist world and 99% of the people in the secular world would scold me, and it would also hurt Chanyuan celestials. In the end, I would not even be able to guide one person to become a celestial or a Buddha. So I can only stop here. People with high spiritual senses will understand. 破法相和非法相. Breaking Dharma Form and Non-Dharma Form. By Dayform Buddha. December 27th, 2021. Edited by Chin Yu. People in the world are all deluded by appearances, attached to forms, constantly plagued by afflictions, and immersed in endless suffering. They create endless karma and experience endless reincarnations. All that the eyes perceive are forms. Everything in the cycle of arising, dwelling, decaying, and emptiness is also a form. Animals and humans that we see are also forms. All forms are impermanent, and if a person clings to forms, they will be trapped in the cycle of reincarnation. There are material forms, mental forms, dharma forms, non-dharma forms, and non-dharma forms. Only the formless is the Buddha. Only the formless can enter the Pure Land. Material forms. Everything seen, heard, smelled, tasted, and touched belongs to material forms. Mental forms. All mental creations belong to mental forms, such as joy, anger, sorrow, pleasure, grief, fear, and surprise. Dharma forms. Rules, principles, systems, constitutions, laws, contracts, teachings, rituals, time, space, nations, ethnicities, political parties, religions, families, and human relationships, etc. Non-dharma forms, teachings of saints, scriptures, thoughts, ideals, aspirations, and wishes, etc. Non-dharma forms, emptiness, existence, void, reality, good, evil, truth, falsehood, beauty, ugliness, longevity, short life, birth, death, etc. When the state of formlessness is attained, all the above disappears from consciousness without a trace. None of the above become obstacles and shackles to entering the Pure Land. Material forms are difficult to break because they are essential for physiological needs. Mental forms are difficult to break because they are essential for psychological needs. Dharma forms are difficult to break because they are necessary for societal order. Non-dharma forms are difficult to break because they are driven by desires. Non-dharma forms are difficult to break because they are related to cognitive needs. When physiological needs are absent, material forms can be broken. When psychological needs are absent, mental forms can be broken. When the demand for orders is abandoned, Dharma forms can be broken. When there is no craving, non-Dharma forms can be broken. Entering the holographic order, non-Dharma forms can be broken. 生来富贵是奖励，生来贫穷是惩罚吗? Is being born into wealth a reward and being born into poverty a punishment? Xiefeng. In Buddhism, some individuals claim that being born into a wealthy and prestigious family is due to the accumulation of good karma from past lives, a reward from the law of cause and effect. On the other hand, being born into poverty is seen as punishment for not accumulating enough merits in the previous life. Similarly, in this life, having wealth and power is believed to be a result of past accumulation of merits. Is this perspective accurate? Let's analyze it. According to the words of Jesus Christ, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God. Based on Jesus' warning, wealthy people are unable to enter the kingdom of God. Therefore, being born into wealth and having power and money takes one further away from heaven. This is not a reward for people, but rather a form of punishment. Imagine a child who loves to curse and insult others. One day, an elderly person passes by, and the child insults him as well. However, instead of getting angry, the elderly person smiles and offers the child a handful of candy, praising the child for his skilled insults. Now, ask yourself, is this child being rewarded or punished for his foul language? Do you think this child will have a positive outcome in the end? How is this situation different from being rewarded with material abundance and social status? Laozi said, "To weaken something, you must first strengthen it. To overthrow something, you must first support it." Another saying goes, "When heaven wishes to destroy something, it first makes it mad." From this, we can deduce that if heaven intends to punish someone, it will have them born into a wealthy and powerful family, allowing them to have money and authority. On the other hand, if heaven wishes to reward and empower someone, it will have them born into a poor family without wealth or power. As Mengzi said, when heaven is about to place a great responsibility on someone, it always tests their resolution, exhausts their muscles, deprives them of food, starves them, disturbs them, and disrupts their actions. In this way, their determination and endurance are awakened, and their abilities are enhanced. From Mengzi's perspective, if heaven wants to empower someone, it will not have them born into a wealthy and powerful family. The sum of positive and negative energy is zero, which is a law of the universe. The greatest achievement in life is not to endlessly undergo reincarnation in the human world, but to reach heaven. To reach heaven, one must possess the corresponding merits and blessings. Even if a person has accumulated blessings from their past life, if they enjoy those blessings in this life, they will be farther away from heaven. Therefore, being born into a wealthy and prestigious family, enjoying the blessings of this life, according to the law that the sum of positive and negative energies equals zero, is undoubtedly a form of punishment rather than a reward. Why does Buddhism claim that being born into wealth and having power and money is a reward for one's previous merits? The source of all Buddhist scriptures and values is the Diamond Sutra. When we explore the profound meaning of the Diamond Sutra word by word, we can't find any notion that being born into wealth, having power, or possessing money is the result of past merits. On the contrary, Buddha often speaks of no form of self and advises against dwelling on appearances, sounds, smells, tastes, and touch to give rise to desires. Seeing the Buddha through appearances and seeking the Buddha through sounds and voices are considered the path of the deviant. All conditioned phenomena are like dreams, illusions, bubbles. How can we relate wealth, power, and money to Buddhist teachings? When we claim that being born into wealth and having power and money are the results of past merits, while being born into poverty and hardship is the result of not performing enough good deeds in the previous life, this perspective is akin to flattering and fawning over the wealthy and powerful while adding insult to injury for the poor. It is neither compassionate nor empathetic towards the poor. It wounds their spirits and hearts, which goes against the compassionate nature of Buddhism. What is the purpose of practicing Buddhism and doing good deeds? Is it solely to be born into wealth and power in the next life? Is this what Buddha teaching? Or is this the temptation of the devil? 进入极乐世界的通道, the gateway to the Elysium world. Xiefeng, August 2nd, 2023. Translation edited by Chinyo. The Elysium world is one devoid of sorrow, anxiety, confusion, worry, or fear, where only joy, pleasure, contentment, comfort, and sexual arousal exist. The Celestial Islands continent is a part of the Elysium world. Entering the Elysium world requires passing through a gateway, and that gateway is emptiness, formlessness, and selflessness. Emptiness is difficult to explain and describe in words. It can only be experienced and felt. Let me provide an example to help you understand and feel what emptiness is. It feels like a kind of awakening and the beginning of life. From a certain perspective, the awakening of sexual desire gives me the opportunity to transcend myself and awaken from the fog of everyday life. It's like leaving my body and leaving my spirit, and not really caring about everything that usually seems important to me. The pause of life, like a moment of eternity, through indulging and tasting the sweetness of the strong fusion of body. A strange feeling, another dimension of my existence, drifting away and melting from the support point of my life. The above experiences and feelings are for moments of sexual climax. They include several key points: an awakening in the beginning of life, transcending oneself and awakening from the fog of everyday life, leaving the body and leaving the spirit, no longer caring about everything that usually seems important, a pause of life like a moment of eternity, and a strange feeling of another dimension of existence. What are they describing? They are describing the scenery of the Elysium world. Without self, without the body, without the spirit, life is frozen in wonderful experiences and feelings, and another self is born. This is a kind of emptiness. Please recall, those who have experienced extreme sexual climax, did you not completely ignore or even forget the presence of your sexual partner? Did you not completely forget or ignore the troubles, sorrows, and pains of your daily life? Did you not also completely disregard your own existence? Did you not only feel extreme wonder and pleasure? Did you not feel that everything was so wonderful and boundless? In fact, this is the state of emptiness, a state of self-loss and peace of mind. Therefore, to enter the Elysium world, you must enter a state of emptiness. The state of emptiness is a state of selflessness and formlessness. Only at this time will you understand the meaning of only by losing oneself can one find oneself, and selflessness is the true self. And you will understand the true meaning of my writing, one cannot attain Buddhahood with self. In conclusion, emptiness is the gateway to entering the Elysium world, as well as the method for entering it. 空性即究竟涅槃. Emptiness is ultimate nirvana. Xiefeng, August 3rd, 2023. Translation edited by Chinyo. Emptiness is synonymous with the Elysium world. Entering the state of emptiness is akin to achieving ultimate nirvana, meaning you have reached the Elysium world. Do you desire to attain ultimate nirvana? Do you wish to enter the Elysium world? Once you enter the state of emptiness, you have achieved ultimate nirvana, and you have reached the Elysium world. So, what exactly is the state of emptiness? The essence of Buddhist scriptures is the Heart Sutra, which is actually a misinterpretation, misreading, and misunderstanding. Its true name is Nature Sutra. Here, nature refers to the essence or characteristics of things. For instance, when it says, form is emptiness, emptiness is form, it speaks about the state of nature rather than the state of mind. Similarly, other content discusses the state of emptiness, not the state of the lack of mind. Buddha is our deepest intrinsic nature, and this nature is Buddha. The mind does not exist. The past mind cannot be grasped. The present mind cannot be grasped. The future mind cannot be grasped. Therefore, the Heart Sutra is not about the mind. It is about nature. If you wish to seek the Buddha, it is necessary to see the nature. The nature is the Buddha. If one does not see the nature, reciting the Buddha's name, chanting sutras, observing fasts, and keeping precepts will be of no use. Without seeing the nature, even if you chant the Buddha's name and recite sutras all your life, even if you release animals, practice charity, and sincerely worship with incense and prostration, you cannot become a Buddha. The Nature Sutra vividly describes the state of emptiness. All dharma is characterized by emptiness. They neither arise nor cease, neither tainted nor pure, neither deficient nor complete. There is no consciousness of sensory experience. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, or mind. No forms, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, or mental objects. No realm of sight, and so forth up to no realm of mind consciousness. No ignorance and no end of ignorance, and so forth up to no aging and death, and no end of aging and death. There is no suffering, no origination, no cessation, no path, no wisdom, and no attainment. This is the state of emptiness, the state after enlightenment, and the state of the Elysium world. Doesn't this seem like a state of lifeless emptiness? Wait a moment. This is the state of great freedom and perfection after all suffering has been eliminated, a state of complete harmony with Tao. This description precisely depicts the nature of Tao. Tao is simply a state like this. Therefore, emptiness is Tao, and Tao is emptiness. From this, we can logically deduce a conclusion. Emptiness equals formlessness equals selflessness equals ultimate nirvana equals the Elysium world equals Tao equals Buddha equals super celestial being. According to the above conclusion, if you achieve selflessness, you can become enlightened, become a Buddha, become a celestial being, and enter the Elysium world. If you achieve formlessness, you can become enlightened, become a Buddha, become a celestial being, and enter the Elysium world. Achieving ultimate nirvana is equivalent to becoming enlightened, becoming a Buddha, becoming a celestial being, and entering the Elysium world. The question now is, according to the Heart Sutra, Nature Sutra, the description of emptiness is a state of lifeless emptiness, where everything is absent. What's the point of becoming a Buddha, or becoming a celestial being? Is the Elysium world really like this state of emptiness? You see, the Heart Sutra, Nature Sutra, does not describe the scenery of the Elysium world. It only describes the path and method to become enlightened, become a Buddha, or become a celestial being and enter the Elysium world. After informing us of the path and method, it urges us to go, go, towards the other shore, follow the instructions and path. You can transcend afflictions and enter the Elysium world of great freedom. The description of emptiness is a kind of thinking cognitive, indicating a method and pathway to enter the Elysium world, but it does not describe the true scenery of the Elysium world. So how do we understand the Elysium world? This depends on the universal key I provide to unlock all the mysteries of the universe: structure, consciousness, energy. As long as the non-material structure exists, there is consciousness to mobilize all the energy of the universe. As long as consciousness exists, the universe will be full of vitality and vigor, and it can be emptiness as form. It's not difficult to understand in theory, but the challenge lies in experiencing and feeling it firsthand. Without firsthand experience and feeling, all knowledge is pale and inconclusive. What does a pineapple taste like? Even if others describe it, it remains as distant as a reflection in a mirror or the moon in water because you haven't experienced it yourself. Only when you taste a pineapple will you truly understand its flavor. Forgetting oneself to be completely relaxed and joyful. The purpose of forgetting oneself is to enter the state of emptiness, and only in this state can you be completely relaxed and joyful, which is the true scenery of the Elysium world. How do you achieve totally forgetting oneself? Follow the 8 methods of entry-level practice I wrote in The Free Holy Land, The Extinction and Emptiness of Form of Dharma. Hint: when I say, emptiness is the Elysium world, and then say, emptiness does not describe the true scenery of the Elysium world, it may seem contradictory. You can understand it like this: an apple is a fruit, but fruit is not necessarily an apple. 修行修炼篇，完美人性的标准。Standards of perfect human nature. 说风. As far as an individual is concerned, perfect human nature is a must for her life to go to supreme life space. As for the all human beings, it is the prerequisites to establish justice, peace, and happiness of human value system. Without perfect human nature, individual not only cannot get happiness, but also has no bright future. The mankind can never avoid the state of ups and downs in competition, confrontation, and war. The 8 conditions of perfect human nature. Revere greatest creator. Revere gods and Buddha. Revere other people. No mind of losing and winning. No mind of combating. Revere nature. Modest, trustworthy and honest. Be sympathetic and compassionate. Be able to adjust and stay calm in both good times and bad times. Conform to the laws of nature. Seek not the special and abnormal. Love life. Love labor. 一、敬畏上帝，敬重神佛，尊重他人。1. Revere the greatest creator. Revere gods and Buddha. Respect other people. Revere the greatest creator. We have already known that the greatest creator is the creator of the universe, the Lord of all the gods in the kingdom of heaven, the cradle of life, the birthplace of wisdom, the motive power of the universe, and the energy center of the hyperphysical world. The greatest creator has the 8 features. The greatest creator is unique, formless, neutral, mysterious, impartial, merciful, almighty, and wise. He exists in the negative universe in his spirit form and maintains the orderly operation of the universe by means of Tao, namely mana. The greatest creator has no fixed form. He can become any form of things in the universe. He is not the universe, yet everything in the universe is derived from him. He can accomplish anything as long as he wishes. If he wants the moon be removed, it can be done at any time. If he wants to make the Mars full of vitality, it will soon be realized. We humans have nothing to be proud of. We can neither control the Earth's moving, nor our birth and death. We can neither prevent thunder lightning nor control over tube ebb and flow. Without the things bestowed by the greatest creator, we cannot survive for even 1 minute. What has the dauntless revolutionary spirit of fearless to God and fearless to the earth brought us? Nothing but confusion, poverty, ignorance, and backwardness. The result of fearing nothing, daring to do anything. The sayings that man being the soul of the universe, man being able to conquer nature is belief crisis, a damaged nature, legal illiteracy and illiterate demoralization. Everyone has his own standards and claims, I am the number one. What a terrible thing. As the Tao Te Ching. When people have no fear of force, then, as is the common practice, great force descends, the great dread is the greatest creator. If we don't revere the greatest creator, the flood of Noah's time will befall again. Do we dare not revere the greatest creator? Only by revering the greatest creator can we have wisdom. Only by revering the greatest creator can we have life and peace. Only by revering the greatest creator can we have a bright future. Any infinite exaggeration of the human ability can do nothing but cause the destruction of humankind. As far as an individual is concerned, anyone who doesn't revere the greatest creator will never have a chance to go to the 1000, not to mention 10,000 world and the Elysium world. We can be arrogant and despise animals and plants. We can be bold enough to conquer the space, but our wisdom is far from controlling the thunder and lightning and ebb and flow. Our wisdom is far from controlling volcanic eruption and earthquake fission, sudden incidents, aging, and dying. So please do not say anything profane to the greatest creator. Please do not be cocky and supercilious. How to revere the greatest creator. Reverent to the greatest creator as if walking on wire or treading on the thin ice. Do not ignore the greatest creator and turn to worship other gods or Buddha or worldly great man. Be grateful to the greatest creator from beginning to end. Do not distort the greatest creator and do not profane the greatest creator. Could not speak and act in the name of the greatest creator. Revere gods, celestial beings, and Buddha. Gods specially refer to the gods who maintain the order celestial universe. For humans, refers to Jesus and Satan. The commander of the gods is Allah, the greatest creator. Celestial beings and Buddha are the angels. Celestial Buddha is mainly the gods. In the universe, gods are above Buddha, Buddha is above man is above the animal is above the plant, plants are above the mountain rocks and rivers, mountain rocks and rivers are above the meteorology, and the meteorology is above bacteria, bacteria is above all living creatures in the hell, all living creatures in the hell are above the suffering creatures in the frozen layer and inflamed layer. There was only one God appeared in the man's world, that is Jesus. In the history of 3 millenniums years, there appeared one Buddha. He is Sakyamuni. The last man in human society got revelation from God is Muhammad. Besides those, every other gods or Buddha are fake and evil. But in the man's world, there are countless celestial beings, bodhisattva. Due to the shallow knowledge of negative universe, negative space, negative time, antimatter, human being cannot see the matters beyond the light of 400-700 nanometer and cannot hear the sound beyond 20 to 20,000 hertz frequency outside. So they can't know the gods and Buddha. But we cannot deny the existence of gods and Buddha because we cannot see them. The key to revere gods, celestial beings, and Buddha is to revere Jesus, Laozi, and Sakyamuni. Through their disciples, Jesus and Sakyamuni had left us a wealth of knowledge and profound wisdom. Through Tao Te Ching, Laozi explained to us the meaning of Taoism. What they said is the first rule is to conduct oneself and the path leading to the eternal life. To revere to Jesus, the main thing is to understand and comply with the teachings of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. You must read by yourself, do not listen to the hearsay, and make judgments in order to avoid misunderstanding. To revere Sakyamuni, the main thing is read the sayings of Sakyamuni recorded in Buddha's scriptures and to savor its profound truth. If you don't understand, you can consult Buddhism figures or unworldly higher beings. The most important thing is to get inspiration, to draw inferences about other cases. To dissect a sparrow, you should know the physiological structure of all sparrows. There is no need to dissect them all. When you get the structure of water from anywhere as H2O, then there is no need to conduct laboratory analysis to all the water on the earth. When you realize the truth of Buddha is one Buddha has no settled rules, then you can know all the Dharma and you can have a general view and no need to study all the voluminous Buddhist scriptures. Revere gods, celestial beings, and Buddha, the human nature will be sublimed. Revere gods, celestial beings, and Buddha, you can understand the true wisdom. Revere gods, celestial beings, and Buddha, you can understand the negative universe. Revere gods, celestial beings, and Buddha, you can find the passage to life. Revere gods, celestial beings, and Buddha, you will get infinite benefits. Many people regard reverence to gods, celestial beings, and Buddha as superstition. This is a great misunderstanding. The known world is small, but the unknown world is very large. We should not limit ourselves in the known world due to our ignorance and waste our beautiful life. Respect other people. From the standpoint of secular, people are divided into lowliness and nobleness, but from the essence of life, people are equal. No one's life is nobler than ours, nor is their life lower than ours. As a person with perfect human nature, we have to treat life equally, namely to treat people equally, whether he is a president and great scientist or just a civilian or an ordinary people. Whatever he is healthy and handsome or disabled or ugly, whether he is a millionaire or penniless, whether he is centenarians or a just-born baby, whether he is a royal or in jail, whether believes in Islam or Jainism, we should show our respect to them. What we mean by respect is to accept belief, habits, hobbies, and features different from that of ours. For instance, if you believe in Buddhism, you cannot discriminate against Judaism. If you believe in Christianity, and you can't be egoistic and belittle atheism. You get the habits of drinking tea, but you cannot interfere with those who drink coffee. You like simplicity, but you cannot blame those who like wearing jewelry. You like art, but you should not belittle those who are addicted in commercial making money. Maybe someone would ask, must we respect those who spit everywhere, use drugs, flirt with women, plunder, bully, and oppress the kind and the weak as well? My answer is yes. You need to respect them. His habits and conducts only represent that he is uncivilized, ill-bred, demoralized, which is different from the essence of life. The sun shines on everyone. The moonlight spread to all the corners on the earth. There is no garden without its weeds. The essence of life, people only, has no class of high or low level, so we have no reason not to respect them. I list some of the performance showing no respect to others for your reference. Spit and relieve everywhere. Talking loud in public places. Do not flush the toilet and littering. Break into one's house without notifying. Annoying others and disturbing others' business. No queuing. Do not take turns to get service. Disturb others' rest and peace. Unpunctual for appointment, meeting, and dinner. Promises were made to be broken. Blow one's nose when eating. Scold or abuse one's wife or children when there is a visitor. Laugh at, mock, and speak sarcastically. Abuse. Beat others. Abuse. Threaten children, including their own children. Deprive children's normal entertainment. Force them to learn. Spit on somebody. Yield to seniors. Stare to the youngsters. Unfold others' secrets. Blame the relatives and friends of others. Force others to change their beliefs. Force others to have sex. Limit others' freedom, including wife and husband relation. Ignore others' well-intended respect. Bribe superior and force them to take presents and bring them to a dilemma. Look down upon the disabled. Knock others' door at midnight unless something urgent. Blow horns casually when driving. Using vulgar language. Swear a lot. Going to a banquet wearing slippers or sloppy dressed. Wear mini skirt or bare-chested in formal occasions. Flirt with others' wife or husband. Keep the borrowed things and do not to compensate for damages. Waste others' time. Take something or somebody favored by others. Slow driving in the fast traffic lane while fast driving in a slow traffic lane. Do not walk on the pavement in the busy traffic area, cross the road and block traffic. Lying, starting a rumor, or making inaccurate reports. Let the dog bite people. Take advantage of one's power to bully people. Put one's feet on the tea table when there is guest. Turn over others' bookshelf without permission. Use defective goods as presents. Selling inferior goods. Start to drive when passengers are not yet on board. Drivers who speak these words, are you looking for death? You want to die? Are you blind? To people who block their traffic. Let dilettanti do the adept work. Using the incompetent as leaders. Ask the experts to do the works they are neither interested nor familiar with. Organize meetings and force others to take into political ideology. Search others' body and purse without official permission. Tracking, investigating, and monitoring others with false charges. Mocking, speaking sarcastically and disdaining one's students as a teacher, cracking down students' self-esteem and self-confidence. Finding all sorts of excuses to collect fees. Degrade colleagues and peers. Speak bad words behind others' back. Be jealousy and demean others' achievement. Excessively touting, praising, and making negative praise. On looking, kicking up a fuss, instigating. Peeping others' letters. Sneeze, cough at others. Deliberately to go public places when informed to have infectious disease. Interference with others' private life. Humiliating others. Let others do business works on holidays or resting days. Farting and taking off shoes and socks in public places. Damage others' image and reputation with false charges. Make random guess and infer others' words and deeds and developing trend as per his personal thinking. Show off extravagancy in front of the poor and display knowledge in front of the illiteracy. Plagiarize, copy others' research results. Exploit others' labor and rights. Stripping others' private property accumulated through hard labor. Enter into others' restricted area without permission. Mining others' ancestral grave. Flashing headlights on full beams to the cars and people in the opposite direction when driving at night. Every speech and practice that embarrassing people. The above listed performances of showing no respect for others cannot be regarded as a criminal offense, but just because these trivial matters cause the great pains in life. If everybody can respect others, needless to say, the world will be a fairyland. But it is impossible for everyone to learn to respect others, unless the human world is managed and everything from food to transportation are supplied by gods, and then execute compulsory measures, where everybody has already had the perfect human nature. All the other behaviors that violating state laws or hurting others are not showing respects. 二无胜负心斗争心 2. Have no sense of winning and losing or rival. The meaning of life lies to pursue truth and be an immortal rather than try to compete and gain victory. A man who doesn't sublimate his own personality does not pursue the perfect human life, but rather spends all his time and energy to struggle for money and wealth, fame and status, success and victory, glorify and illustrate his ancestors, or to leave a name in the history. He is putting the cart before the horse. The only path to the supreme life space is the perfect human nature. All the rest are nothing but the cumbersome and rubbish of life. Those who have no sense of winning and losing or rival should realize that you are unique in this world. You have your own life and the right to pursue a better life. You are behaving yourself in the standards of Allah and the greatest creator, rather than those standards of the secular society. You get proper conditions of existence through labor. You need not to spend precious life for worthless things. As a member of the human society, you should do your duty and obligation, rather than satisfy the vanity and pride for the catering of the world. If you are a piece of grass, you should not envy the upright poplars and delicate peony. If you are a rose, you should not laugh at the small grass and the dull willows. Don't reduce your life standards and bend your knees to the secular because of the persecution of life. Do not force yourself to do something you do not like. Working is for the sake of perfect humanity. If you are prompted and granted with higher ranks, it is fine. It is not right if you dare not to play golf simply because you are a president. It is not right if you dare not to go to the lake for fishing simply because you are a Nobel Prize winner. And you cannot forbid yourself to lie down naked in the outdoor bathing place simply because you have been granted as a moral master. Determine not to be the slaves of money, wealth, fame, status, beauty, family, nationality, country, others, or religion. Do not override on anyone. Also, don't succumb to anyone. You are equal with all other people. The ups and downs, frustrations, and tortuous of your life are nothing but the pure ornament of your life. They are not success or failure. So do not be happy for the success and cry for the failure. Anyone cannot suppress you in the name of gods, celestial beings, and Buddha, because first you are a man. Nobody should comfort you and guide you with the illusion of the future himself is not clear. You have to enjoy the beautiful life belong to you in this lifetime first. Don't let other people's beliefs, which they can't even follow, to confine you. You should have your own standards. Let others enjoy the competition, contest, combating, and fighting. Don't get yourself involved. You should go on your life journey, in your own pace and speed. The most promising one in the human society is not a president, a scientist, a national hero, nor an artist, a writer, an ordinary civilian, but a man with perfect humanity. Shakyamuni Buddha has declared that I have obtained the passionless samadhi and that I surpass all men. I am, therefore, the highest passionless arhat, which means once you reach the state of no win and no lose, you reach the highest ideal of being a man. And when you reach this state, you are transcending life and death. You are no longer in need of transmigration. Those who don't like compete and have no preference on winning or losing are the living Buddha, the celestial beings, and the great men in the world. The ones who have reached this state of carefree of winning and losing have the following characteristics. Do not participate in any activities that characterized with winning and losing and will not judge people's success or failure, merits, or weak or strong by winning or losing. Do not care about the first or second place, whether it is work, study, or recreation and entertainment. Whether it is inheriting, promotion, or getting dividends, or getting along with colleagues, or choosing professions. They take what belongs to them. They do not plot, fight for, and rob for something does not belong to them. Leave the right of life to others and death to themselves when in need. Those who reach a mind of no competition have the following characteristics. Do not accept the evolution view of the law of the jungle, the survival of the fittest. They believe that human society can be in the same boat and coexist with each other peacefully. In any field of human activities, there is a best way of peaceful settlement. There's no need to intrigue, cheat, vie, and fight against each other. When people around are attracted by interests and desires and can't wait for to fight for them, you just stand aside and be indifferent and see how they fight fiercely to blood bleeding. There is no winner in life. Circumstances alter cases. Fortune is variant. Everyone has to go empty-handed in the end. So what is the point to fight and show off? A person who does not know what his tomorrow is like is always a floating cloud, a leaf in the autumn season, a fish in the pond, a worm in the grass. Look back the history, the fighting for success or failure, winning and losing among human being has little difference with the battles among animals, such as flies fighting for blood, mole crickets and ants fighting for food, rats biting and chicken pick, fox and wolf chasing, dragon and tiger fighting. You cannot find too much civilization in that. Time and tides wait for no man, so you should cherish your limited time. Do not let earthly disputes get your mind disturbed. Do not fall in the slough and lose yourself in the fighting for victory. 三热爱大自然 3. Reverent to nature. Nature is the precious gift given by the greatest creator, and the earth is the homeland for our cultivation. The rising sun, the gentle attractive moonlight, the twinkling stars, the fresh morning, the cool breeze in the evening, the white clouds floating in the blue sky, the rippling sea, the silver shinning beach, the boundless prairie, the primeval forest of green pines, the vast Gobi, the running streams, each high mountain, every valley, each landscape, each river, gives us countless beautiful enjoyment, triggers us infinite yearnings and endless imaginations. We are being nourished by nature, and we are unselfishly dedicated by nature. Every piece of grass, every fistful of soil, every insect, every bird, every piece of wind, every drop of water, all are our lifeblood. When we rejoice in the tremendous progress of modern industrial civilization, staring at the dense smoke from big chimney of the industry, when we are enjoying the power output from countless nuclear stations, using the refined diesel, gasoline from numerous refinery, when we block one river after another from in the middle and build those impounding dams, when we hoping the biology gene engineering will bring us peaches greater than the watermelons, how many of us have realized that our human beings are committing chronic suicide, are digging graves to bury ourselves, when human are being cocky and arrogant and believing that man can conquer the nature? When we are in a full swing to destroy the mountain forests for terrace, remove the grassland for cultivated land, fill the puddles of water for farmland, and turn green mountains and rivers for mining plant, does it ever occur to anyone that we are overdrawing the blessing of our offspring in our next life? When the pesticide is used everywhere and there is no trace of insects and birds, when rats are killed by medicine and cats are fed by people, when the fishing net are tightly woven and the fish and shrimp find nowhere to hide, when wanton hunting the wild animals in nature for ivory, rhinoceros horn, velvet antler, musk, bear's paws, bird's nest, monkey brains, snake gale, tiger bones, leopards, and so on, when people intend to eat everything and dare to anything and are fearless to heaven and the earth, how many of us have realized that we are committing sins and accelerating the destruction of human? When people are spending a lot money to buy famous paintings and sculptures for collection and are intoxicated in indoor landscape. When people are fascinated by the virtual space of computer network and cannot extricate. When a building after another are stretching out in all directions and people are parsing for their intelligent masterpiece and are going beyond themselves. When people are bathing in the prismy neon, drinking champagne and good wine, eating delicacies of every kind, listening to the singing stars, wearing the fascinating miniskirt and are feeling unrestrained and cheerful. How many people can hear the nature is crying behind us? When people admire Bill Gates and are chasing wealth and trying to make a great fortune overnight and brazenly discharge the waste gas from the factories to the atmosphere. When people allow the sewage of the fertilizer plant to seep into the underground. When people pour the hospital infection virus water into rivers and the waste oil from the ship into the sea. How many of us have realized that we are committing crimes and we are murdering people? How to reverent to nature. Do not wear leather jackets or leather shoes or ornaments made from animals. Do not use bags or belts made from animal skins and furs. Do not eat the meat of wild animals. Do not drink any wine or other beverage mixed with the raw materials of animals. Do not raise, catch, and damage wild animals. Do not cut down trees and plants excessively. Do not involve in any activities that will pollute the air, the earth, the rivers, or any other activities harmful to nature. Do not overpraise any human masterpiece. Reverent to nature and protect nature, and in turn nature will love us, protect us, and breed us. 四谦逊守信诚实 4. Modest, trustworthy, and honest. True modesty is seeking truth from facts, neither exaggerates nor disdains oneself. If Einstein says, I am one of the greatest scientists, most scientists are not as good as I am, and some of them are not worthy enough to be my servant. We cannot say Einstein is arrogance, not humble, because that is the truth. If the Mao Zedong says, I know little of politics tactics, I am no better than Qin Shi Huang, Emperor Liu Che in Han Dynasty, and Emperor Li Shimin in Tang Dynasty. Neither am I as good enough as Lin Biao, Zhou Enlai, and Liu Shaoqi. Then, it is considered as humble, because that's not the fact. The sun is modest, the moon is modest, the peony is modest, and the grass is modest. The sun says, I am not as tender as the moon. The moon says, I am not as brilliant as the sun. The peony says, I am not as easy growing as the grass. The grass says, I am not as delicate and dear as the peony. The sun says, the moon is nothing. It is neither bright nor dark, neither near nor far, sneaks in and out, hides in the day and comes at night. How can it compare with me? See glorious and radiant, bright and open upright I am. The moon says, the sun is nothing. It hangs naked in the sky. It is defiant, insolent from the masses. It is neither reserved nor modest. How can it compare with me? See how considerate I am to allow stars to twinkle. Peony says, what? Are you talking about the grass? The mean and messily scattered grass? How can it compare with me? I despise the bigwigs and dare to fight with the emperor? Can you? Are you qualified to do that? You know nothing except swing in the wind and being manipulated and kissing the ground and seeking for momentary ease. But I can bring the elegant, wonderful enjoyment for the people. Have you ever heard of the Peony Festival in Luoyang? That is specially designed to praise me. Little grass, are you able to do that? Useless thing. Grass says, Peony? You mean the painted skin, who knows nothing but swindle by false pretenses, seduce elite for its appearance, the showy, arrogant thing? Nothing to be boasting of. Were you not driven gloomily out of the forbidden city by a piece of paper order from Wu Zetian? Just look at us. Wildfire cannot burn us all. When spring comes, we are growing again. When did you ever see we bend our noble heads to the human beings? Luoyang Peony Festival? Isn't it a narcissism farce of stealing the spotlight and relying on sensationalistic poor praise from human? Take a look at us grass, persistent through tremendous grinding and hardship, unbending no matter winds come from which directions. We have all traces in each and every wildness, in each valley and gobi. How can a small Luoyang city hold our footprint? Are you kidding? This is being not humble. I know someone who was same as me and was brought up in a peasant family background. Later she got some fortune by borrowing money from someone and became a shopkeeper's wife. She often says something like this, look the ill-breed ghost of poverty. They are annoying me to death. Every time I heard this, I felt like a fishbone in my throat, hard to spit out or swallow in. People forget the past suffering quickly and much quicker than the speed of the rockets. This kind of words forgetting one's class origin is just being not humble. The truly modest people can reach this kind of state. Everything in the universe is equal. I am nothing special. The universe is full of secrets and mysteries, and what I know is just a little. There are always bigger mountains than the one I know, and the sky I see is not the entire sky. There are many turns in life, and there are still a lot for me to learn. Being trustworthy is one of the significant symbols of perfect human nature. Being trustworthy is to assume responsibility and obligation. Being trustworthy is to practice what you preach. Being trustworthy is not talking nonsense and deceiving others. Parents raise children carefully is being trustworthy. Children support the old as being trustworthy. The underlings do a good job as being trustworthy. Superiors show concern and care to the subordinates as being trustworthy. Strictly implement the contract, agreement is being trustworthy. Keep one's word, and do not disappoint others as being trustworthy. Otherwise, it would be trustless. A trustful man can be relied on and can be entrusted with authority. A trustful man has conscientiousness and won't fail you. A trustless man is unknowable and cannot be entrusted. A trustless man is dangerous and enjoys quibble. Honesty is the human nature. Simple is the nature of substances. Cunning is the nature of beasts and transcending is the nature of Buddha. Honesty can be recognized as practical and realistic, neither enlarge nor lessen. Not knowing is not knowing, incapable is incapable, dear is dear, horse is horse, putting on the emperor's new cloths, means wearing nothing at all, thirsty is thirsty and hungry is hungry. What says in the mouth is what keeps in the mind, not beating around the bush nor steering according to the wind, or deceiving his superiors and deluding his subordinates. Dishonesty can be recognized as the true mingled with false, being speculative, pleasing someone against one's will, neither, confusing one thing with another, crossing the sea under camouflage, looking one way and rowing another, pretending to be obedient while looking for another way to escape, one face to God and another to the devil, putting a needle inside cotton, unmatched words with deeds, lying, quibbling, reneging a promise, deceiving, adulterating, giving short measure, lack of sincerity, promises were made to be broken. Dishonest focuses on the four areas of battlefield: marketing place, official circles, love field, where being honest means failure and elimination. But this is not what human intelligence and wisdom crystallization, but the exterior syndromes of evil and sinful human nature. An honest man among a bunch of liars is just like a sheep enters a herd of wolves. A dishonest man among a group of honest people is just like a wolf mixed in a herd of sheep. An honest man might not do something big in a man's world, but he can enjoy a lifetime serene and peace as well as the blessing from another life. Dishonest people can have their days momentarily, even a lifetime, but they cannot have a quiet and peaceful mind and cannot enter the 1,000-year world in the next life. No matter how perilous the life is and how unpredictable changes of our destiny, if you want to have the perfect human nature and obtain good future of eternal, you must be honest and look further into the future and find more valuable life goal, and temporarily give up the lose and gain of a city or town. You must take off the burdens of life and firmly stride towards a more brilliant future. Otherwise, the life can only be transmigrating in the low's life forever. 五有同情心、怜悯心、爱。5. Be sympathetic and compassionate love. Be sympathetic and compassionate love is the supreme level of human nature. It is the definite bridge and path to the Buddha. Compassion is to show sympathy to the fate of human misery. Sympathy is to take pity on the tragic result of each individual. It is a sad and stirring image when you review at the history of mankind. Although there are a few images appeared to be smooth on the surface, yet under the seemingly calm picture, there is another open and secret struggle and a distressed view. Let's leave the Flood Noah era and the Black Plague in modern Europe and the Second World War aside. We are shocked to witness the wars between tribes, race, religion, political parties, and the interest disputes between groups, and all these make us lose our confidence in life. Where is the wisdom of human? Where is the way out? Was the brutal struggle the optimum power to drive human history forward? We cannot but help to be grieved and be sympathetic on that account. Okay, let's narrow the top from the entire humankind to the perspective of individual. Look at the dead and the dying and the thousands of millions who are going to die. How many of them have acquired a perfect life? Hunger, disease, anxiety, fear, worry, death has lodged everyone's mind and body. Who can live a life as unrestrained as wishes? The temporary happiness of the poets and artists, musicians cannot conceal their long-time suffering of their minds. The momentous glory of hero, millionaire, emperor cannot block their long-time hesitation. The seemingly power and prestige of the presidents does not mean their mind is more peaceful and calm than the ordinary people. The daily increasing wealth of the businessmen cannot erase their inward anxiety, let alone the helpless ordinary civilians. After thousands years exploration, man still cannot find a good way of living. Isn't that sympathetic? Be sympathetic and compassionate will submate our personality. Without sympathy and compassion, we have no difference with plants, and we will be the same as wild with beasts. Be sympathetic and compassionate will make us clever, intelligent, and reasonable. Yet we have to be cautious that for the people who are strongly self-respected, showing sympathetic and compassionate feeling is regarded as a humiliation. So we cannot easily show compassion and mercy either expression or in action. If anyone is hungry, but if he doesn't appeal to you, don't go to help him. If someone suddenly comes to harm, but if he doesn't appeal to you, don't go to help him. Some people are unreasonable, with undistinguished love and hate, capricious, biting the hand that feeding them. If you sympathize with him and have mercy on him, and he will bring you endless troubles. Like the fable of the farmer and the snake. The farmer showed sympathy and pity on the snake, yet was finally bitten to death by the poisonous snake. Another example is about marriage. If you get married not because you love and fond of each other, but out of sympathy and pity, then when the days come, you will not find real happiness, and you would become the object of sympathy and compassion. 六无论处于顺境还是逆境，能自我调整，保持平静。6. Be able to adjust and stay calm in both good times and bad times. The road of life is full of twists and turns. There are uphills, downhills, broad ways and narrow paths, sometimes narrow winding trails, sometimes thorn-strewn paths, and sometimes no way to go. Especially when a person begins to explore the road of life, truth of the universe, his path becomes more dangerous and rugged and is full of crises. The more terrifying thing is no peers, no companions, and one can only walk alone. From time to time you can hear the howls of wolves, the roars of tigers, the hiss of snakes, and the calls of ghosts. The misunderstanding of the crowds, the incomprehension of the relatives, the instructions of the masters, and the habitual thoughts formed through thousands of years make your mind gaunt, tired. Sometimes you are very anxious to lie down and fall asleep, and hope that you will never wake up again. When we are in good times, we should not be arrogant, but should attribute all the benefits to the blessing of the greatest Creator. We should be thankful in our hearts, so as not to be eaten up by pride and beget sorrow out of the extreme joy. When we are in bad times, we should not give ourselves up as hopeless, regarding all the disadvantages as the faults of our own words and deeds, as the evil punishment for ourselves. In this way we would not hate heaven, hate the earth, hate society, and hate others. We can maintain a calm state of mind, can make vigorous efforts to turn the situation so as to turn the foul and rotten into the rare and ethereal and turn the bad times into the good times. Here are some ways to deal with particular bad times. Bereaved father in early youth, bereaved wife in prime life, and bereaved son when aged. This is the greatest misfortune for human life, which will make people lonely, confused, perplexed, inferior, and desperate. When such unfortunate time comes, one should perceive things this way. Misfortune generates happiness, and happiness breeds misfortune. Misfortune works as the best catalyst to Buddha. Misfortune can make people attain deeper level understanding on human life and can enlighten one's understanding on the essence of life. As long as we keep calm, accept it naturally, do not underestimate our own capabilities, and continue to work hard, we will soon step on the road leading to supertime space. Everyone has his own life path. Everything in the universe is causality. Suffering, distressing, and enduring hardship is not entirely a bad thing. Buddha Sakyamuni often teaches us, suffering in the world and despised by common people are to offset the evil of the previous life, and one may enter the high-level life space in the afterlife. Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. But woe to you who are rich, for you have already received your comfort. Woe to you who are well fed now, for you will go hungry. Woe to you who laugh now, for you will mourn and weep. Woe to you when all men speak well of you, for that is how their fathers treated the false prophets. Matthew 5 verses 1 to 10. He who is to be made to dwindle in power must first be caused to expand. He who is to be weakened must first be made strong. He who is to be laid low must first be exalted to power. He who is to be taken away from must first be given. Vice versa. He who is to be made to expand must first be caused to dwindle in power. He who is to be strong must first be made weak. He who is to be exalted to power must first be laid low. He who is to be given must first be taken away from. From the wisdoms and instructions of Christ Jesus, ancestor of Buddha Sakyamuni and ancestor of celestial Lao Tzu, we can understand. If the greatest creator would love you, favor you, want to offer you eternal life, they will first make you locate under the condition of poverty, hardship, suffering, and torture. When heaven is about to place a great responsibility on a great man, it always first frustrates his spirit and will, exhausts his muscles and bones, exposes him to starvation and poverty, harasses him by troubles and setbacks so as to stimulate his spirit, toughen his nature, and enhance his abilities. If God is going to lead you to the high-level space, he must first make you suffer and confuse. Otherwise, people will be arrogant and selfish, will be out of all reason, and will refuse to accept any persuasion. Without all those suffering, you can never go to the thousand-year world. The future is so splendid and wonderful. Whatever the suffering and torture would be nothing for us. Therefore, we must understand the following. He who is aware of the male, but keeps to the female. He who is conscious of the white, bright, but keeps to the black, dark. He who is familiar with honor and glory, but keeps to obscurity. Only in this way, we can avoid being trapped in the worldly mire. Being framed up, but one found it hard to vindicate oneself. Being misunderstood and framed up, one will feel more suffered than that of being openly hacked by knife and chopped by axe. He cannot divert himself from the inner anguish and bitterness. In most cases, this is the cause of human suicide. In this adverse situation, we cannot treat ourselves and the society with conventional thinking pattern, complaining and calling for redress, blaming everyone and everything but oneself, being filled with indignation and being hostile to society can only speed up the collapse of one's own mind. We must understand, right and wrong should be left for God discerning. Merits and faults should be left for Tao assessing. Life and death, honor and disgrace should be temporarily given up. One should quietly wait for the good times of spring blossoms. One should firstly put oneself in a deserted island inwardly, seeing the Western world in cold detachment across the sea. At the same time, one should change this adversity into the turning point of life. Work hard to explore the essence of life and human life and win over another way out. Unable to afford treatment when suffered from fatal illness. In such adversity, one should not lament his fate, nor should span 1,000 miles and waste time, effort, and money to look for panacea. Qin Shi Huang sent 3,000 young boys and girls to the so-called Penglai Island to seek the elixir. As a result, they disappeared without a trace. Emperor Li Shimin, from the Tang dynasty, ate the panacea made by Yuan Tiangang, who was a famous astrologer and Taoist, also failed to prolong his life. Let alone us, these poverty-stricken common people, we go out early and come back at dusk and live frugally throughout the year. We cannot afford any money to consume. Moreover, the present medical fee is so expensive, we cannot even afford it. However, what deserves us to feel sorry and pity are our beloved relatives, because they are the people who feel the real sadness and pains, not us, because they want to subsist, and there is still a long way ahead of them. So we must first take into consideration for our relatives and friends. Well, for ourselves, should we lose our spirit, wear a long face, be depressed and let it be? Surely not. The Bible says, "The mind of sinful man is death, but the mind controlled by the Spirit is life and peace." No one can be immortal, and death is not terrible. What terrifies us are the life of spiritual entity which will move towards the lower bound after the death of our flesh life. As we are faced with death and our time in the world is running out, we need put all our mind on the construction of our life of spiritual entity. In this way, our life of spiritual entity can be led to a better life space after we die. The real happy life is not being born in this world at all, and is to go directly to the high-level space U. In the second place, it is the people who die immediately after the birth. In the third place, it is the people who dies just after passing their childhood. The worst of life is the people who live confused and puzzled, and have to suffer at the age of 80. Because the earlier the death, the less the sin. The less the sin, the more chances to go to the high-level life space. How to build up a spiritual entity life. The most effective and simplest way is to enter life genuine and take the road of super time space. In this way, you can transcend the life and death, directly reach eternal. Not only that, your fatal illness may also disappear, and you may rejuvenate again. Therefore, with the fatal illness, one cannot afford the treatment, which may be a chance for one to understand life, to find new and good situation in the desperate life, to bloom again and change from sorrow to joy. Seizing this opportunity, as you suddenly become enlightened. You may laugh, ha ha ha, so that is what it is. 七，顺应自然法则，不祈求特异。7. Conforming to the laws of nature, not seeking for peculiarity. The so-called natural law refers to the law that exists within everything in the nature and which determines its own orderly operation and the development trend. For example, the movement of the solar system along the galaxy and the movement of the stars within the solar system are all natural laws. Comet appear in the visible space of the Earth every 76 is also a law, namely the natural law. The seasonal and climate change on the Earth follows the nature law. Plant germination, growth and flowering, and bearing fruits also complies the laws of nature. The birth, growth, aging, and death of the animals are the natural law. People eat and drink, pee and poo, work at daytime, and rest at night are the reflection of natural law. Everything in the universe will live in accordance with the laws of nature and will die if violating the natural law. The Earth will turn into dust and ashes if flying out of the solar system. If a farmer sows in autumn, he will not have harvest. People will surely die if they don't eat, drink, pee, and poo. This is the rule, and this is the law. One of the main reasons for people to get sick is due to the violation of laws of nature. The special events encountered in a person's life is also mainly due to the violation of the laws of nature. The best life is the life complies with the law of nature. One should not seek for exception and peculiarity. However, most people have the desire of seeking exception and being outstanding unconsciously. Some of them even try to control the forces of nature and have exceptional functions. If this kind desire is just kept in their mind, then it belongs to the normal phenomenon. However, if it is implemented in action, it belongs to the abnormal phenomenon. Abnormal phenomenon is against the law of nature, and it does more harm than good. It may distort the normal mental activities, affect the person's normal life. I talked about exceptional function many times, but my purpose is to show the thought of supertime and space can achieve a certain kind of state, and I did not encourage anyone give up basic self-improvement and to specialize in exceptional function. Being transcendent does not mean one has to have exceptional functions. Self-refinery and self-improvement is not for obtaining exceptional functions either. All the achievements and ways with the sole purpose to pursue the exceptional functions will lead people into the astray and evil path. After China's reform and opening up, there have been waves of activity concerning refinery and improvement which has its positive effect. But the negative effect is also there, for the key is against the law of nature. Therefore, though the people involved in the practice were millions upon millions, few has gained exceptional functions, even fewer understand the Tao. The ultimate goal of life should be positioned in pursuit of perfect human nature and the goal of how to extend life in a higher life space. Exceptional functions are merely helpless in reaching this goal. Anyone that wants to take the shortcut will eventually find that they are wasting time. Remember, more haste, less speed. We are human beings, so first we must behave according to the laws of nature, and we have to eat and drink, pee and poo, study, work and rest and have fun and go through the process of birth, death, illness, and old age. On this basis, we can realize transcending and realize our dreams. To achieve doctorate, one must first lay a good foundation from primary school, high school, college, and graduate student course. Success comes from hard work. So, first we must behave as an ordinary people, common and take back the messy and scattered and floated mind. Set your mind, find the direction, follow the nature, and you will succeed. Never and ever pursue exceptions, otherwise, you will be lost and caught by the devil. 八热爱生命，热爱劳动. 8. Love life, love work. Life refers to the activity ability of an organism. The thinking ability, labor ability, and all other activities including talking, walking, eating, blinking, tickling are the expression of life forms. Life is 1 plus 1 is equal to 1. The first one refers to the physical flesh, and the other one refers to the spiritual entity. The combination of the two parts of flesh and spiritual entity constitute a complete life. Flesh without the spiritual entity is a dead body, and the spiritual entity without flesh cannot move in the three-dimensional space. Flesh is like a computer's hardware, and spiritual entity is like the computer's software. Without software, the best computer can be nothing but useless trash. Therefore, the flesh is the carrier, namely the vehicle of the spiritual entity, and the latter is the true essence of life. Our flesh is given by our parents, but our spiritual entity is given by the greatest creator. Therefore, love life is to protect our flesh, to show respects to our parents, and love spiritual entity, to revere the greatest creator. Life is above everything. Love life is to respect parents and revere to the greatest creator. Persecuting life is to contempt to parents and is to fight against the greatest creator. Every life is equal. No one's life is nobler than another's life. So, no matter how many sufficient and noble reasons he has get, as long as he brings harm to his own life or others' life, then it is a sin. The people who love life must be the ones who love peace. Every war provoked for the interests of tribe, race, nationality, country, religion, political parties, no matter how noble the reason is to commit crime to human beings. No one has the right to harm other people's life. Death penalty is a kind of crime, regardless of how heinous and unpardoned the prisoners are. As long as they are arrested and imprisoned and their freedom is confined and their rights of being an average person are deprived, that will be enough. No need to fight ruthless against ruthless and evil to evil. Abortion is not a crime. One cannot take for granted that the life is formed as soon as the eggs meet the sperm. The life of fetus is only formed 10 days or so in antenatal, and it starts when the spiritual entity from another space enters the fetus flesh through space tunnel by the anode black hole body. Before that, the fetus is just flesh with no spiritual entity. Its activity is the continuation of the maternal parent life. It lives when the parent body lives and dies when the parent body dies. This is like building a house. We lay the foundation, build walls and roofs, install doors and windows. Only when everything is ready and people move in, the house can become a home. We can't regard a deserted house as a home. We surely cannot take a building with only four walls and without windows or doors as a home. The first principle of loving life is to revere to the greatest creator, because the spiritual entity of life comes from the greatest creator, without which our life will be water without source and tree without root and will be withered at any time. The second principle of loving life is to respect our parents, because our flesh comes from our parents, without whom our life would be spirit that wandering in the other space and impossible to come to this world. In the man's world, we see many people take time and energies in the pursuit of money, fame, and let their parents pass their time lonely and desperately. We also find that a lot of people spend money to worship the gods and Buddha statue, and let their parents to live their last years of life in an isolated and helpless condition. We also know that there are other people burn incense and kneel down to the gods and Buddha from a long distance than to show care and concern by visiting their parents. Respecting your parents is to show gratitude, and to pay back the debts and to fulfill your wishes and to gain perfect human nature. But it is not the purpose of life. The third principle of loving life is to love work. Every activity that creates material and spiritual wealth by using the combination of mind and hands is called work. Material wealth refers to the material entity independent from the consciousness, visible, touchable, and useful. The spiritual wealth refers to something that can arouse and encourage in people's heart and spirit and can withstand the test of time and have impact on human beings, such as thoughts, philosophy, literature, painting, music, songs and dance, drama, movies, etc. Working is the noblest human activity to keep healthy in life, gain happiness, and survive in the world. All human achievements are the result of labor. Look down upon work or belittle the value of work is the symbol of lacking human nature and the philosophy of parasite's life. Work is mainly embodied in the activities of scientists, engineers and workers, farmers, writers, thinkers, artists, including lyric and music composer, television movie producer, etc. Trim a piece of lawn, boil a pot of cold water, make a dish, make a hairdo, design a style, sew a dress, remove a pile of junk, plant a potted flower, plant a tree, write a novel, cultivate a talented person, make a prescription, and deliver a baby and others all belong to the category of work. Activities such as inviting guests and sending gifts, traveling for fun, keeping fit or exercising, eating, drinking, pulling, and peeing do not belong to the scope of work. Stealing and robbing, cheating and blackmailing, dividing the plunder and reaping the profits do no belong to the working category. In a society, only when the whole social society respects working, involves in working, it can be regarded as an ideal society full of human nature. Life is not classified as high or low, neither does labor. A society has no respect to working will inevitably become society of not knowing right or wrong, good or evil, with distorted human nature and reverse society, a society of unfair, unreasonable, injustice, unhappiness. The society will be incentive to corruption, encourage laziness, creating evil, advocating buckish, will be a vicious cycle and bound to be ruined. Love work is love life. Despise work is to destroy life. Everything can be labeled with a price except life. Everything should be centered on life from career, freedom, prosperity, glory, peace to ideal. What is the purpose of all these without life? Although life is tenacious, it is very frail and delicate. We have to take care of it all the time and everywhere. We are not expecting life to bloom gorgeous flowers and bear bumper fruit. We only hope that our life is like stream, joyfully singing, running through the creeks, ravines, fields and valleys from the fountain of life, smoothly flow into the sea the arms of life without being dry up in the midway. Let's love life, eulogize life and praise life. Let the tree of life be green forever. Let's hope every life can safely reach the ideal land. The Law of Gravitation of Life. Xiefeng, November 28, 2006. Translated by Transin. I say to you, you will not come out of it until you have made payment to the very last farthing. The motions and developmental trends of all objects are affected by gravitational forces. It is impossible for anything to escape without conquering the gravity that binds and constrains it. This law is suitable to the material world as well as to the non-material world. The law of the universal gravitation of life can be expressed thusly. Gravity exists between or among any destined lives in the universe. Their magnitude of gravity is directly proportional to the amount that they owe to each other and inversely proportional to how much favor they have done to each other. That is to say, the greater the debt is, the stronger the gravitational interactions will be, but the greater the favors, the stronger the reaction forces will be. The main reason that the souls of many self-refining people cannot reach even the lowest level of heaven after leaving their physical bodies is the effect of gravitation of the earth towards their lives. This is the procedure of Tao, which cannot be overcome only by consciousness. Many near-death people have already left their physical bodies, but they come back to life eventually, which result from the effect of the attraction to life. Many people arrive at beautiful places in their dreams only to awaken near the end as a result of this attraction. No matter how far they travel, immigrants always have been longings for their homes from time to time. A Punjabi phrase says, East, West, home is best, and part of an American poem and song goes, be it ever so humble, there is no place like home. The great emperor, Li Shimin of the Tang dynasty, earnestly enjoined monk Xuanzang, who was leaving for India, love and cherish even a pinch of mud from your homeland more than a ton of gold from other places. Why are our homes so attractive? Because we owe debts to them. It was the mountains and rivers in our native land that cultivated us, and it is our families that favor us. This is the effect of the gravitation of life which very few can resist. Transmigrations and reincarnations of life will gravitate toward the world from which you were over debt in your previous life. If you owe a debt to someone, you will return to serve them in your next life as a person, or even as an ox, horse, dog, or sheep to do the same. If you owe a debt to an animal, you will return as one, or even as food for it. Buddhists attach importance to predestination, but what is it? It is the combination of debts and favors. In China, there are sayings such as, though born 1,000 miles apart, souls which are one shall meet, and a fated match across 1,000 miles is drawn by a thread. Here, the meaning of the word thread is the gravity of predestination, which is also a combination of debt and favor and is inescapable by anyone. A Chinese saying says, husbands and wives are foes. In the mortal world, marriage is just like living in a protracted lawsuit against each other. You will by no means leave this world until you pay off all your debts. This is why Jesus Christ taught us that Whoever smites us on our right cheek, turn to him the left also. Buddha Sakyamuni said in the Diamond Sutra that, furthermore, subhuti, if a virtuous man or woman who receives, holds in mind, reads and recites this sutra and become despised by others, that because one is bound to suffer from evil destinies in retribution for their past sins, their karmic sins can be eradicated by enduring others' contempt of present life, so they will attain peerless perfect enlightenment. Actually, you are blessed if someone reviles or persecutes you, and this is one of the most effective ways to pay your debts. Therefore, the starting point for your advanced self-refinement should be that you are brave enough to accept revilement and persecution without any resentment or desire for revenge in your mind. You have to be willing to accept all the suffering. You should be absolutely obedient to your parents, patient with your brothers and sisters, and yield to your spouse. You should also devote your hearts and souls to the education of your children without expecting anything in return. Jesus told us that a man's foes are those of his own household. We owe to our families, and this debt will attract us back to the mortal world. Thus, our families are the biggest factors preventing us from entering heaven. Goodness and loving kindness follow us all the days of our lives, so we have to go back to the mortal world to repay them in their afterlife. Therefore, any advantage or benefit that we derive from the mortal world is just glue which will restrict us from entering heaven. In Matthew 10 verses 35 to 40, Jesus Christ taught us, "For I have come to set sons at variance against their fathers, daughters against their mothers, and daughters-in-law against their mothers-in-law, and their foes shall be of their own households. Those who love their fathers and mothers more than me are not worthy of me. Those who love their sons and daughters more than me are not worthy of me. And those who take not their cross and follow after me are not worthy of me. Those who find their lives shall lose them, and those who lose their lives for my sake shall find them. Verily I say unto you, there is no man that hath left house, or parents, or brethren, or wife, or children, for the kingdom of God's sake, who shall not receive manifold more in this present time, and in the world to come life everlasting." Jesus' words tell the exact truth. We should abandon all that we possess in the mortal world. But how? The only way is to experience the worst hardship and the most miserable suffering, and to bear the most painful torment. In order to repay those kindnesses, everything that we do should be as that of cows. They eat grass but produce milk. We should burn ourselves as candles. As long as we live, we will exhaust ourselves fully to pay back the debts that we owe from previous lives. A reading from the Baha'i faith begins as follows. Behold the candle, how it gives its light. It weeps its life away, drop by drop to give its flame. You must die to the world, and so be born again, and enter in to the kingdom of heaven. Jesus told us that where one's wealth is, so too is their heart. So reserve wealth for yourself in heaven. Buddha also preached that we should do our best to give alms formlessly and accumulate merits constantly. In this way, the fruit of its reward will be inconceivable. We will understand the law of universal gravitation of life as soon as we enter into the non-material world. Some have dreamed of flying in very beautiful places, which show very little magnitude of gravitational attraction from the mortal world, while others have never flown in their dreams. Some have never dreamed in color, which indicates a big magnitude of gravitational force from the mortal world. Although Isaac Newton's three laws of motion describe the material world, but they also apply to the non-material world and offer inspiration to us. We can understand this principle from the case of the three cosmic velocities. A satellite must meet an initial velocity requirement of 7.9 kilometers per second in order to orbit around the Earth. Escape velocity is 11.2 kilometers per second for it to escape from the Earth's gravity and rotate around the Sun. A third and higher velocity will allow the spacecraft to escape from the Sun's gravity and travel out into the galaxies. The 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and Elysium world that I have described are just like those three cosmic velocity levels. The first cosmic velocity is required to reach the 1,000-year world. The second is required for the 10,000 world, and the third is required for reaching the Elysium world. It is impossible to reach the above three worlds unless the requirements for the minimum speeds are achieved. Of course, this is a metaphor, but the concept applies. Pay your debts and free yourselves from the shackle of the gravity of lower life space. Pay that final farthing that you owed to the lower space lives. The best way to do this is to give alms formlessly and accumulate merits. Do you know why the best way to self-improve and self-cultivate is to help construct Life Genuine? It is because we are initiating the Life Genuine era for humankind, and this era will not only benefit humankind, animals, and plants, but also rivers, lakes, the sea, and the sky. We are accumulating the greatest merits which are sufficient to offset all that you have owed to all forms of life throughout all time, including what we owe to our families. Why should we revere life and nature? This is the basic principle. Understanding these principles, we will feel sweet even when enduring hardship and tiredness. The enjoyment should be given priority to others, and the hardship and tiredness should be left for ourselves. One should set up a superior goal, work hard on an ordinary job, and lead a humble life. In this way, we will burn ourselves as candles to the greatest extent. Forget complaining if you ever wanted to, give up revenge if you ever desired to, and release any hate that you still have. On the contrary, bless those whom you felt antagonism toward. The law of the universal gravitation of life tells us that the magnitude of gravity is directly proportional to what we owe but inversely proportional to what we have favored. The more that one owes, the greater their magnitude of gravitational interactions will be, and the more difficult it will be for them to reach heaven. However, the more that one has favored, the less that the gravitational force will pull on them, and the easier it will be for them to leave for heaven. When we face our imminent deaths, we will rest in peace if we are free from all concerns and debts. Otherwise, we will turn over in our graves with restless souls. Do not accept favors from others readily. Once you accept them, they will become your debts. Those favors relieve others, but shackle you. Do not kill animals intentionally, or those animals will be freed, but you will be shackled. Be as much a vegan, or at least a vegetarian as you can, because animals are lives too. What is owed to animals must be repaid eventually. What you gain must correspond with what you have paid, and any excess is unnecessary because it means debt for you. I am unable to describe all the details. Get to know the principles first and then put them into practice. 生命的反物质结构完美的标志 The symbol of a perfect soul. Non-material structure of life. Xiefeng. April 14th, 2010. Translated by Song Long and edited by Care. There is no absolute perfection, only relative perfection. There are different symbols of perfection for the non-material structure of each level of life. Different life beings have different standards of perfection. What I am saying here is referring to the symbol of the thousand-year world celestials. If you reach the standard below, you are eligible to live in the thousand-year world. Your nature is fully exhibited, and you have no shame. Adam and Eve were nude and shameless in the beginning, but they later had shame and were dismissed from Eden to live on earth. If they had wanted to go back to Eden, they would have needed to return to their nature and eliminate the feeling of shame. Jesus once said, "I tell you the truth, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Children have no shame. They just follow their nature and they are not fettered. Nature is the state of Buddhahood, without shame and letting one's nature be displayed entirely so that they can return to the kingdom of heaven. All creatures, even a blade of grass and a piece of wood, are your friends, and you never hurt any insects or birds. You are one with heaven and earth. You coexist harmoniously with everything. You are friends with plants, and even insects and birds are your friends, and you never hurt any life. You are innocent and artless as a child and good at playing and entertaining. The thousand-year world is a place of happiness and joy. If you cannot reach the state of innocence and artlessness, you will not be able to live in the thousand-year world. You are worry-free and carefree when going anywhere, and you treat people you meet as your family. You are absolutely selfless and nothing can bother you. You see every place as your home. Everyone likes you, and you like everyone you meet. You do not have the idea of differentiation, and you treat everybody equally. You own nothing, possess no one, are never jealous, and never compare yourself with others. You are well integrated into nature and the community. You own nothing, nor do you possess those whom you love.